Snyder ruined him.
Man, that sucked.
Michael Keaton was the best Batman, while Christian Bale was just deadpan. No one remembers the other ones. Princess Leia in bikinis and Transformer Lamborghinis.
Yeah.
Please don't let Shia LaBeouf ever act again.
Please, God, no.
Remembering Tales from the Crypt, back when Michael Bay wrote good scripts.
He wrote
And all right here is no mystery, 'cause it's the history of bad.
It's bad.
It's the history of bad.
So bad.
It's the history of bad ideas. It's the history of bad.
It's bad.
It's the history of bad.
So bad.
It's the history of bad ideas.
Podcast.
Hey, welcome to the History of Bad Ideas podcast episode, we hope, 339. I'm Jeff. And that's
I'm the intern. I'm back.
The intern is back. We've got Doug, number one fan.
Yeah.
Yay.
I'm Scab Jason tonight.
All right.
Hi, guys. I'm Jason. I'm Jason doing Kevin Spacey.
Perfect. And then we also have Scab Jeff.
Hello. Am I only supposed to see Doug's left ear?
Probably not, but
There, how's that?
it's probably how the display comes up on your phone versus
Okay.
everything else. But yeah, you're doing it through the phone. Well, we're doing it through our computers. So you're this is Jeff's like first foray into Skype as far as we know.
It is 100%.
So hopefully everything goes well. It's also my first attempt at trying to record all this, since I don't want to admit it, but Jason actually does stuff, and he gets this stuff working. So hopefully what I'm doing is being recorded, and we're able to put out an episode.
I was going to wear my fedora today, but with the headphones, it doesn't really work.
If you get a fedora and cut holes in it and then slide the headphones through the holes in the side of the fedora, would that work?
I don't know. I can get the scissors and we can find out.
I can already tell this is going to be awesome.
Brian's like, why did I show up? Why did I show up? Why wasn't I out this week also? Well, Brian took a couple weeks off because he had like birthdays and anniversaries and stuff.
Back-to-back anniversary birthdays. So,
For the record, I showed up on my birthday, you know.
Well, see,
Gotta
Doug,
if I were making more than intern IOUs, then I would have shown up too. But
the biggest difference, Doug, is for you coming on as a treat, for Brian not coming on as a treat.
Well,
Oh. All right.
do we have an outline for tonight?
Did you write one?
I did not.
Then no, we don't have one.
Fantastic.
But we're just going to go off on however we want to do this.
so you're saying this is a wild card?
Wild card! Well, I suppose we can start out with our breaths of silences. Ian Holm, actor, probably most known to those of us in the geek community as the person who played Bilbo Baggins in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, passed away this past week.
I did see a meme just today that had him and the guy who played the animated Bilbo Baggins, who died this year as well, and then Morgan Freeman looking all nervous and stuff because he played Bilbo Baggins as well.
Martin Freeman. Not Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman did not. Oops.
Did he narrate the life of Bilbo Baggins?
Although Leonard Nimoy did a song about Bilbo Baggins, but he's already passed several years ago, so I don't know if that fits the narrative there. And then shit, who else died? I saw someone.
Joel Schumacher.
Thank you, Joel Schumacher.
Yes. And we know him as the writer and director of DC Cab.
Oh, that one didn't pop up when I looked at the stuff he did.
I looked at his IMDb and it was like, oh my God.
I mean, I know him best as the directors of what do you call it? St. Elmo's Fire and The Lost Boys.
Lost Boys.
Flatliners.
Flatliners. He did Phone Booth. Is that what it was called? Yeah, whatever it was called.
Was that with
Batman and Robin.
Well, he did those, but we don't want to soil his memory right now.
But everything on the news was always Batman director Joel Schumacher,
Yeah,
which is kind of insulting to Joel Schumacher.
It's very insulting. I mean, he did make those movies and then did apologize for making those movies. But he did make other better movies, so I think we should respect the other better movies he made. I wonder if Ian Holm and Joel Schumacher did anything together. Intern, look that up.
I did see Ian Holm was in Greystoke, The Legend of Tarzan.
Oh,
I think Jason mentioned that movie a few weeks ago.
Yeah, it's one of his favorite movies of all time, I think he said. When he was like 8, your parents took him to see it in the drive-in, did he say? Was that when we were on our drive-in talk? Yeah.
Can I go back to that for a minute? He failed to mention this story about drive-ins. We went to see Harper Valley PTA at the drive-in, and my parents had tickets to a Reds game that they gave to my grandparents, and I might have mentioned this once before, but that's the night Tom Seaver threw a no-hitter, and they got to see Harper Valley PTA instead.
Oh, and Jason went with them to that one, or is it just your parents?
No, we all went to see the movie.
Oh,
it was at the drive-in.
Oh,
yeah. So they missed out on the no-hitter.
But they got Harper Valley PTA.
I guess it's an even trade-off.
It's got a cool theme song anyway.
This is true.
That's all I can say about it because I never actually watched the movie. Scam Jeff, did you watch Harper Valley PTA?
I've never heard of that, but it sounds fascinating.
All right. Well, now your homework is to watch Harper Valley PTA before you come on next.
Okay.
I'm doling out homework. I like this. Oh, I said we should actually do our breaths of silence for him. So.
Okay.
All right. Anything, Brian, on the?
I cannot find any anything linking them together.
Okay.
Did we do a breath of silence for Aunt Jemima?
You mean the mascot Aunt Jemima, or the person the mascot's based off of?
Well,
I think she had already
I've been
passed.
I have been to her grave, but
Okay.
but her legacy has now been
Retired.
retired. Probably for the best.
I don't know. Apparently, I heard her descendants were not happy. They were proud that their grandmother or whatever was, the great baker or whatever that she was, and a good legacy. And I heard they were mad, or I could be wrong, and somebody else was spreading false words, but that's what I read.
Oh, the grave was a big deal when I went there. It was like it was in a churchyard or something, but it was the tourist trap of that tiny little town, wherever in Kentucky or wherever it was.
All right. So, anybody else have any breaths of silence to go over?
I don't think so.
No, I think that's it for this week.
Anybody watch anything cool over the past week?
What did we watch?
I'm rewatching Scrubs. That's about it.
I just finished The Feed on Amazon Prime, which is a pretty good show. It's like a zombie show if Black Mirror did a zombie show.
And you said this was called The Feed?
The Feed. It's a Amazon Prime original. But it's about everybody has this thing in their head where they can access the internet or whatever, and it gets a virus, and then dead people start taking over the people who are still alive, and then they start killing the actual live people. It's interesting. It wasn't bad.
And how many episodes is that?
It's 10 episodes, hour long, or 43-minute long episodes, or whatever, because apparently they still assume that commercials will be on it.
Somewhere. Maybe in the future. What commercial TV is the wave of the future. So, Doug, you said you were doing a rewatch of Scrubs?
Yeah, we got Hulu. I got Hulu for free through Sprint, so I've been starting to watch that. I like that show. It's a good show.
I know it's one of Brian's favorites.
It is. Up until season 9, that shouldn't have existed.
I've said it before, so I say it again. I don't think season 9 is bad if it's not considered Scrubs. If it's considered something different, if you want to call it a spin-off, fine. And it probably would have been better if they didn't have JD in it at all. I know he was in like the first 6 episodes or something. But if they didn't have him in it at all and just did a spin-off, it would have been better than what they did. So you got that to look forward to, Doug. Season 9 on your rewatch.
Yeah, I remember seeing some of the episodes. I don't remember too much about season 9. I just remember, it was different.
I did just watch House for the first time.
Like one episode or all the way through?
All the way through. I get bored at work and I do a lot of old TV watching. But I watched the entire thing of House, and a lot of people who I talk to say that House jumped the shark at some point. Did you watch House, and at what point did it jump the shark?
I did watch House. I don't know if it did. It pretty much was the same. I don't know if maybe people thought when he got rid of the old people and brought in had the contest to see who gets to be his new lackeys or whatever.
I don't know. I kind of like that, but I'm thinking like toward the end where it was like he goes to prison and it's all about him being and his morality and everything. I think at some point it jumped the shark, but I can't pick out a specific point where it did. Like it was worse at the end than it was at the beginning, in my opinion.
But no, House. I didn't actually watch it straight through, so the episodes I saw might not have been in order. So yeah, that might be a little bit more difficult to tell when it jumped the shark.
Yeah, I don't even think we finished it. So I think we saw like the first maybe 5 seasons.
But the seasons got better when they added, I forgot her name now, 13.
Olivia Wilde.
Thank you.
And it's like she kept coming in when she became just famous enough that she could come back in to I don't know, to give the show a little more ratings. It's like, oh, the ratings are falling. Let's bring Olivia Wilde, who's now famous, back in for like a cameo.
Why not? She's invited into my show anytime she wants.
Speaking of her, we did watch Booksmart last weekend.
Was that any good?
It was so funny.
Oh, okay.
It was very well done. It's basically a female version of Superbad.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll have to look out for that. I mean,
It's on Hulu.
Is it? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I need to get Hulu then.
I'll give you my password if this wasn't public and I just told you that I'd break the law and give you my password.
Yeah, I won't accept your password because that would be against the rules.
And it would give you access to HBO Max as well, which is awesome, but you can't access it anywhere on any of my TVs because Roku doesn't accept it.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
It doesn't.
Nor Amazon, the Fire Sticks or Roku.
Fire Stick doesn't get it.
We can't get it through our Amazon app through the things because they don't have an agreement with them yet.
It's not available on my LG TVs either.
So how do you get it?
It's on
I
my
get it
iPad.
through my Xbox.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I suppose it could come through PlayStation. I heard that was possible, but yeah, no, it's the problem is we mostly watch our little channels through Amazon. Like I know we could get HBO through Amazon, so we can still watch, whatever the HBO Go is, or whatever they changed that to. I think just plain HBO. But we can't get can't get HBO Max through Amazon, so we're not subscribing to that yet.
So I know
Oh, sorry.
we added it through our YouTube TV subscription, and it gives you the option to go into HBO Max, but it doesn't give you anything more than just what's on HBO. Like Friends isn't on there, like none of the other non-HBO things that they've added to it are available through the YouTube subscription, which is bizarre.
So you're pretty much just getting HBO, not HBO Max.
Right. But there's two separate, there's HBO Go and then HBO Max on our guide that on our channel guide that we can go into, but it's nothing different.
Thanks, HBO. Go ahead,
HBO Max has very good foreign film selection. Like everything that I watched in film school is pretty much on there. Like all of the big French New Wave films, all of the significant films from all of the like German, Russian, all that. It's all on there, which I was very surprised to see, and it was very, very impressive. Not Gone with the Wind, though.
Well, it was for a brief second, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It went with the wind. See what I did there? I made a terrible joke.
So there's going to be a baseball season.
Apparently, until there isn't.
It's signed, sealed, and delivered. They agreed on everything now.
Oh, right. It only just took someone saying, well, you got to do it. Is that it?
Pretty much.
Will everybody make it to the teams on time?
No.
So I think that's the thing that's going to start happening is that players are just going to say, like, I'm not coming.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be. I don't think it's going to be.
Back in the old days, the spring training when people didn't want to show up, the guys from Latin America, it was always, I'm having visa issues. Davey Concepcion never showed up on time. He always blamed visa issues, and they said I think he's the one that they said had dual citizenship, so it shouldn't have been an issue. So I wonder how many guys will say, I can't get out of Puerto Rico or the Dominican or whatnot,
Well, Puerto Rico is part of the U.S., so
right. But are they having travel? I don't know.
It says all the players must report by July 1st.
Yeah.
So to undergo COVID testing. So that'll be the thing. See how many players actually test positive, and then they'll just cancel it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, besides their teammates, won't they all really be social distanced from all the fans? So it's just like 18 people that they really have to worry about every week or 4 days, right?
25 people per team.
I think it'll be 20. I think it'll be more than that.
I think it's 28, isn't it?
28, yeah.
Plus a taxi squad. But I had heard those guys not in the game can't even sit in the dugout. They have to sit in the stands to keep people away. So if you're in the game, you can sit in the dugout. Otherwise, you have to be in the stands because there won't be fans.
So the 12 people on the taxi squad can all sit in their own section in the stands. Catch the foul balls.
Or the backup catcher who's not in the game will have to sit in the stands. I think the way I took it was, if you're playing that game, you can be in the dugout. Otherwise, you can't not.
So
that's the way I took it.
Until you're called to pinch hit, you still have to sit in the stands type thing?
That's the impression I got, yeah.
That'd be interesting. That'd be kind of cool to watch on television, I guess.
That really ruins that whole pace of play thing that they put in play.
Yeah.
I suppose this is normally the time where we do the poll of the week, but the guy who runs the Twitter account and the poll of the week isn't here.
I didn't even know he wasn't going to be here this week.
I saw a poll. Who is the worst member of Hobie? Tied for last is Jeff, Brian, Jim with 0%. Number one, Jason with 100%.
Oh, wow. All right.
Numbers don't lie. Numbers don't lie.
So
Blake didn't get included.
He's never here. I don't think Jason even knows who he is.
Some people doubt the existence of Blake.
Yes.
Oh yeah, Blake took this week off too. I didn't mention that. And Jim isn't back from golf, so I don't know if he will be back or not. Stupid Jim.
Where's his dedication?
Apparently it's to the golf course.
I haven't been on since quarantine. This is the first time you've asked me on since COVID kind of blew up.
Okay, well, since you are a movie expert, what does postponing the Oscars mean?
It means that there's more time for things to settle down, so I could actually have my Oscar party again.
So just postponing the ceremony, are they also pushing back the deadline for films to qualify? Or
I think they did say that they were, yes.
So that's just going to screw up trivia when people say, what won the Oscar for this year. Mm-hmm. When it's like, okay, it's always easy because it's a calendar year, but now things won't come out until 2021, but we'll win the 2020 film Oscar. They're just doing that to piss me off.
Specifically, just you, Jeff.
They are.
But how much will even be up for Oscars? I mean, you had the first 2 months of movies coming out? And
Well, Kevin James is now probably going to get nominated, so that's a good thing.
Yes.
Man,
I think Trolls World Tour is going to sweep.
The what is? Trolls?
Trolls World Tour.
Hey, Onward made it, apparently. Jason told me Onward made it to the theaters, so that's going to win.
Okay, but something like Trolls World Tour, would that be up for an Oscar?
Maybe Best Animated.
I mean, but because even though it came out on video on demand, it'll still be eligible.
Oh, Did that? Oh, I don't know. That's another question.
Right? Yeah, it did.
To the theaters. You're right.
Yeah.
Where Onward was at theaters, Trolls World Tour wasn't. So.
Right.
Interesting.
I do think that they did say something about new criteria when they were talking about the Oscars being pushed back, and there's new criteria like the number of theaters it needs to be released in and things like that. I'm not sure exactly what they were, but I do remember seeing something like that.
So you're basically going to have 2 years of Oscars. I mean, if it goes back in 2022 to its original time, where you're basically getting 6 to 8 months worth of movies for the Oscars.
Yeah, I think you get 10 months for the following year. Where.
Oh, okay.
I think they'll probably give them to maybe February of this year, so you'll get 14 months this year, and then
okay.
Next year will only be 10. So next year is when you release your movies, because there'll be less movies out.
I don't know. I don't think there's any chance there's less movies that come out than this year.
But
I'm going to put all my money on the true history of the Kelly Gang.
Now we did get word that the local cinema is going to be opening. They're going to open soon, at the beginning of July, and apparently they're going to be showing a lot of older movies, because only one movie a week for at least the first month is scheduled to open. And I don't even remember what the first couple were, but I know Mulan, I think, is supposed to open the
17th, I
17th,
think.
24th.
Oh, 24th, yes.
Yeah. And then the
And
31st
is the week after.
Yeah. But out of all the stuff I heard that they were showing, I don't think there was anything I wanted to see until Tenet. So I'll at least see what happens for the first month before I probably go back. Anybody else have plans to go to the theater?
No.
No.
Maybe when Black Widow comes out.
Was that October or November, I think?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe Wonder Woman. When's that? Is that
the same
September?
About. I can't remember.
I guess it changes each.
Yeah, it had been pushed back. Apparently,
always subject to change.
Apparently, Wonder Woman, the release date has been changed the same number of times as New Mutants release date.
Mm-hmm.
I think they've each been changed 5 times since originally been mentioning. So,
according to this, it says October 2nd for Wonder Woman.
Okay.
Hooray!
Yeah, I don't really know. I haven't seen an updated release schedule, so I don't really know when anything's coming out.
I saw something for MCU movies, but I don't remember it now. So
yeah, I think everything's getting pushed back to the previous or the following one's spot. So yeah.
But Black Widow will be the next one, and I thought that was November.
That sounds right. Yeah.
So where's Blake with listener feedback?
Is anybody going to talk about Oak Island because he's not here?
I don't have.
I was out in the backyard earlier and I found some wood, so.
Close enough.
More than they found on Oak Island, so.
Yeah.
I've been watching Skinwalker Ranch, which I think is something like Oak Island. It's like this apparently really paranormal ranch or something, and it's like a reality show where they have these real doctors and scientists go and investigate the UFO activity and stuff there, and they don't really find anything any episode, but they keep getting real close to finding something and then not. So that's what I assume Oak Island's like.
Sounds like it. Kind of also sounds like those ghost hunter shows that Jason was addicted to. He's telling me about how cool it was that they're looking for stuff and they'll get all this stuff, and then at the end of the episode they found nothing. And I'm like, and how many episodes do they do that? Every single one.
Yep. My wife watches some of them, and every time it's, well, look, right here you can see a ball of light. Sure. Okay.
An orb?
Yes.
So, I don't remember how long it's been, but we were in Gatlinburg, and they do like a haunted walk through Gatlinburg. It's supposedly like they take you around the city and show you all these haunted spots in the city, and it was the biggest scam. There was like 12 of us, and the lady's like walking around. She's like, all right, we'll stop here, and this is the place. So if you take a picture, look on your camera, and you'll see the orb. It's like, well, there's a light there, so it's gonna show up. Ah, man.
You'll see an orb. That's the sun.
You know, I used to do that for a living, right? In Cincinnati.
Not in Gatlinburg, though. Yours was real,
no.
Jeff, right?
Well, I never told anybody about the orbs, which when you use flash photography and there's a piece of dust anywhere, it'll reflect off the piece of dust and it'll look like an orb there. So, but it was fun.
So I was just looking over the movie release schedule, and it looks like August will be the soonest I'll go for Bill and Ted Face the Music.
Oh, that's still in August.
According to IMDb, August 14th.
Excellent. Well, New Mutants, August 28th. That's the one I'm looking forward to. But I do also want to see Tenet, so... All right, there's fireworks outside my window.
Woohoo!
Just for the show?
Apparently.
That's impressive.
Man.
Apparently they like to, what do you call it? Just shoot off fireworks at random times these days. I mean...
Yeah. My neighborhood's the same.
Is that like this town, or is it like all over? So
yeah. It's a big thing in Norwood, I can tell you.
Well,
I think it's all over. If you follow like Best of Next Door on Twitter, they always show the things about people complaining about scaring their dogs and why are they doing it now. So I think it's pretty much all over.
My question is why do they do it at like 6 o'clock at night when it's light outside and you can't see the firework?
Because all of this is a noise maker anyway, probably. It's not what some of those beautiful, glowing ones that glisten in the distance. No, it's just bam. That's all you get. Maybe a big flash of light, but.
So we have no listener feedback, is what you're saying?
Unless you brought some.
No, I did not.
I'm searching the Twitter page to see what we've got.
See if anybody's just asked us anything.
Well, while you're looking at that, I've got something that I could possibly bring up. My girlfriend Jen and I share the same birthday, May 18th, and since I haven't been on here forever, it's already come and gone. But we always have a contest at who can get one another the best birthday presents. But since the social distancing and all, we couldn't have people over to judge the actual contest. So
you're giving us a chance to judge?
So so I'm giving you guys the chance to judge, even though she said that it probably wouldn't be the final the final say, but
this is pressure.
But we go we go all out. I went with a theme this year of disaster artifacts because we kind of like the dark things, and so I got her actual artifacts from the Titanic. I'm moving in my house right now, and you probably can't see it. I just dropped my phone.
Are we underwater?
Glub glub. Glub glub.
A rope from the Titanic and a piece of coal that was from the Titanic, and then there was an actual piece of the Hindenburg and a piece of the Lusitania and a piece of the Columbia space shuttle and a patch from the Challenger and ash from from Mount St. Helens exploding. So that's essentially what I got her.
You got all that this year?
Give me 1 second. Okay, I can hear you again.
Okay.
My headphone jack fell out, but I don't know if you heard what I said.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, we did.
So that's what I got her. So and there were other things like.
So all that was just this year's birthday present?
Yes. This is I don't know if you can see it, but it's a pin from Chernobyl, from the gift shop at Chernobyl, the year that it exploded. Like somebody went and bought it and before it exploded. So that all went with the theme. So I was pretty happy with that. What she got me,
She got you a puppy instead.
she got me, this is a book. It's actually a pamphlet from the official proceedings from the 1856 Democratic National Convention, which took place in Cincinnati, Ohio, which this could actually be the only actual copy of this left in the city of Cincinnati. When I looked it up, they had it, and there was a copy in Germany. There was one at the Library of Congress, and a handful of university libraries across the country. They do have copies, but I could not find another copy in Cincinnati, and this convention took place in Cincinnati, so I could own the only copy of this in the city of Cincinnati. And then there were a handful of other things from the Franklin Pierce is my favorite president, so she got me a bunch of artifacts from Franklin Pierce's term in office, which are actual things from that time period. So we go all out in this.
It sounds like
but I still think I won, unless that's actually the only copy of that in the city of Cincinnati, in which case I think that she would probably win, because then I'd be kind of important.
So you need to find out if you are the person in the city we have to go to if we want to know what happened in the 1856 Democratic Convention.
Well, the copies of it I'm sure exist, but the only original I'm thinking might be me in Cincinnati.
And how many different pieces of the Titanic and Lusitania and Challenger and stuff are out there? I mean, is that something?
Well, those were were things that were probably something that if you had a few $100s, you could get another copy of all of those, yes. So it's not a one-of-a-kind type of thing. It's a 100-of-a-kind type of thing. But still very cool.
I'm going to have to vote for your guess, Jeff, because to have something from the Titanic, my favorite book out there is Zombies, A True Story of the Titanic. And to have something from the Titanic, I think that's the winner.
Okay, that's one vote for me.
I do have to ask Jeff, and this is important to where my vote goes. What is it about Franklin Pierce that makes him your favorite president?
He was like one of the dark horse presidents. Nobody expected him to be nominated, and then he was going to Washington, D.C. for his inauguration, and his train crashed, and he watched his son be crushed to death right in front of him, which was very, very tragic. But it turned him into an alcoholic, so he became a complete alcoholic while he was president. And he signed the Kansas-Nebraska Act, which pretty much single-handedly caused the Civil War. So, favorite not in that he...
Not in he's your favorite, but he has your favorite story.
He has the best story.
Okay.
Exactly.
I thought it's like because his politics aligned with yours, but that doesn't sound like it.
No. He was a conservative, one of the Democrats from back in the 1850s.
My guess is his drinking aligns with Jeff's.
He did drink a lot.
Can
but I've only had like 4 or 5 today.
So go ahead, Brian.
I said, can he run in 2020?
He can vote in 2020.
So who is Franklin Pierce voting for this year?
All right, so scanning the Twitter page, it looks like in the last week there is one question, and it's from the one and only Nick Albright.
Oh, Nick asked something. Oh, no.
All right. He says, Jeff Mania, if we were to take the wrestling move, the tombstone, to its next logical step, which would be, i.e., the double inverted blowjob, what would we call it to pass the censors? The double entwined males, the male circle, or date night with Nick and Jeff?
Oh, I wasn't expecting that one.
He's a sick man.
And I'll say that this is right on the heels of the speak out movement of wrestling, where everyone has been outed as huge creeps and sexual predators. So I don't really know if we really want to answer or touch on this, but
it's only if it's an unwanted advancement.
Correct.
That is creepy. And it's also on the heels of The Undertaker officially retiring.
That was probably one of the best wrestling documentaries that I watched. It was very, very well done. Partly because he's very private and there's nobody ever gets to see anything about him. He doesn't let any, that's the first time he's ever done it in his entire career. So it was really cool just to watch that, how he, how he goes through everything. And like, I learned quite a bit that I didn't know about him. So it was really good.
So any
highlights
of what?
You never answered the question. Let's don't go off a tangent here. What's your answer?
Oh, I did like the date night.
Date night with Nick and Jeff.
Okay.
Hello?
An incoming call, but I don't know the number, so we ignore those.
Maybe it's Jason calling from a payphone.
Do they still exist?
If it were a telemarketer that you could bring onto the show, why not do that?
Fantastic.
Well, it's a little late now.
Call it back. Call the number back.
Well, we're recording, so you're on the air.
There you go.
All right, so so Nick also suggested
They're calling
another
back.
name.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Maybe it's Jimmy. Hello? Yes. What? Oh, yeah, you have the wrong number. Sorry.
What?
All right.
Car warranty?
Who is
your
it?
car
Who
warranty?
is it?
Do they want to come on the podcast?
They were asking for Chuck.
Ooh.
You should have said, sure, let me put you on the air real quick.
Then I would have
So
to figure out how to get my speakerphone to work, and I don't know how to do that. I know it's just a button, but they're calling back.
Okay, speakerphone.
See if
Oh,
they want
they
to talk
hung
to
up.
Kevin Spacey. Hi, I'm talking to you.
They hung up.
Some people just want to watch the world burn.
That was better than Jason ever did.
It's not really that difficult.
Yeah.
No, not really. I'm Mike O'Kane.
That was a pretty good Jason impression.
I named the dog Indiana.
So yeah, that looks like that's the only listener feedback we got for this week.
Oh. Wow.
I only got one vote for the birthday present, though.
Oh, wait. Okay, going back to birthday present. I like, since you specifically are a Franklin Pierce fan, or at least a fan of his story, that you got Franklin Pierce related stuff.
I liked that a lot, too,
So
as the recipient.
So I think I'm edging towards Jen on that one.
Oh,
So I'm the tiebreaker.
you're the tiebreaker. Keep in mind, I've never lost.
Is that supposed to help you or hurt you?
You can't vote for yourself in this one, so you can't lose. I think I do like the things that you bought for her, so I'm gonna vote for you, Jeff.
Yes.
Okay, but I have a question. Were you allowed to keep pieces of the Columbia? Weren't you supposed to turn them into NASA?
It was a piece from the flight before it actually exploded.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Does that change your vote, Brian?
I gotta think about it. I'll let you know before the.
Now wait a minute. It wasn't one of the tiles that fell off the time before that is the reason it blew up this time, is it?
Too soon.
I have to say, you got grisly gifts, but they're good ones.
Oh, yeah, and I saw, Jeff, you guys took a trip to Point Pleasant.
Yes. I figured it would be mostly outside, so it would be a lot of social distancing, and the last time I went to the Mothman Museum, I was the only one in there, so I figured that would be safe, but apparently lots of people go to the Mothman Museum nowadays, so it was very busy. So it was, even though I was wearing a mask, if I get COVID, that's where it came from.
Well, you did hear, though, that somebody was going out saying that they should be replacing all the statues they tear down with Mothman statues.
I didn't hear that, but
or
that's
at least
idea.
in West Virginia, they were saying. And that's what threw me off. I'm like, wait a minute. They said that all the what do you call it? The Confederate soldier statues in West Virginia. And I'm like, why is there Confederate soldier statues in West Virginia? They specifically left Virginia to not join the Confederacy. Why would they put up statues of Confederate soldiers or generals in West Virginia? Does anyone have an answer to that one?
That's a good question. I do not.
I thought the same. I thought the same thing when I saw that. Yes.
And then also when I saw that you guys were going to Point Pleasant or whatever, I'm like, oh, they're going to Ulysses S. Grant's birthplace. And then I realized, oh no, you're not going to Point Pleasant, Ohio. You're going to Point Pleasant, West Virginia.
We did pass the first Bob Evans in Ohio, though.
Yeah, I've done that occasionally.
Occasionally.
Was it down on a farm?
Well, I did go to school in Southeast Ohio, so Bob Evans is out that way.
Ohio University?
That is where I went, yes. You knew
there
that.
There were a lot of signs for Athens.
So opening day is July 24th.
All right.
So everybody can.
Who are the Reds playing?
That I don't know yet.
Okay.
They haven't announced the schedules or anything, but July 24th through September 27th. So it'll be 60 games in 66 days.
They should do a lot of doubleheaders.
Is that usually when the World Series is, September?
Yeah.
Usually, yeah.
It usually,
first or second week of October.
Yeah.
Is when the World Series playoffs start, like the first week of October.
Yeah, the playoffs will run, or the regular season usually runs to just before the end of September. And the playoffs then take place pretty much in the month of October. Except that one year when Derek Jeter was Mr. November because he had a good game in the World Series. And that went into November.
So it says that the MLB is expected to use a regional schedule. So the Reds would play 40 games versus NL Central teams and 20 versus AL Central teams.
And screw the rest because they all suck anyway.
So.
All right.
Okay, I have breaking news.
Okay, break it.
On ESPN.com, Ben Roethlisberger, because I know we're all Steelers fans here, was on Tunch Ilkin's, I guess, podcast or radio show, and talked about the addictions he's had late, I guess in the years past. And he said he's been addicted to alcohol and pornography.
No, I don't believe that.
And douchebaggery.
I don't believe it.
I believe it. I think everybody should be addicted to pornography. Oh, well, speaking of pornography, didn't we get where did that story go?
The double inverted blowjob?
No, not that one.
Ron Jeremy, right?
That's it, yes. Porn star Ron Jeremy charged with 4 counts of sexual assault. Let's see here. Ron Jeremy, one of the most iconic figures in the adult entertainment industry, was charged Tuesday with sexually assaulting 4 women in West Hollywood, where investigators say he prowled the Sunset Strip looking for vulnerable victims. He was charged with forcible rape, forcible oral copulation, and sexual battery. Ugh.
I mean, I don't get it, man. You're paid for that. Like, why do you?
So he's actually out creeping the streets. Oh wow!
I mean, if you look at him, that it fits.
Yeah.
Like you would associate that with the way he looks.
He does. Yeah, fit.
He's a very creepy looking person.
I suppose he's not bankable in porn much anymore, so he feels he needs to attack women at their homes, sexually assaulting 2 women in a bar and raping a woman at the same bar in 2019. Wow.
Okay, wait a minute. So sexually assaulting someone in a bar. Wouldn't it be ironic if Ben Roethlisberger was addicted to Ron Jeremy porn?
Who isn't addicted? Oh no, I couldn't know. So, how many Ron Jeremy movies have you seen?
None.
Anybody?
I'm not sure I have either. I watch a lot of porn.
I wouldn't say.
But that's like vintage.
I wouldn't say like I've seen films. I've seen a scene or 2 maybe. But once I found out that his nickname was the Hedgehog, I was all done.
No, I did see The Maddams Family, where Ron Jeremy played Uncle Pester. So I do have one Ron Jeremy porn under my belt, so to speak.
Let me ask you this: what was better, the Maddams Family or the Munsters?
Well, the Maddams Family.
Okay.
There was no sex in the Munsters. You think Jason would let us name our episode "No Sex in the Munsters"?
He's not here, is he? I'll text him to see if
James
he's okay
confirmed.
Okay. Authorities declined to charge Jeremy in a 5th case after deciding they had insufficient evidence to prosecute an alleged 2016 rape. In that case, the woman said she was intoxicated, where Jeremy separated her from her friends and raped her. Wow. Yeah, it sounds like Ron Jeremy's going to be spending a lot of times behind bars to end his life.
Who has a better chance of being convicted, him or Danny Masterson?
I don't know. I haven't really.
He's been charged with 3 counts of rape.
Yeah, I know he's been charged, but I didn't read or see specifics behind it.
Yeah, but I just saw the headline. I didn't really read, but I knew back when they first announced, like when the accusations and stuff when he got fired from the ranch. So ever since then I hadn't heard anything else about it, but I guess obviously they've spent enough time investigating it that there's enough there that they were actually finally able to arrest him, so.
I do think, though, that if there was a jury sitting around and they said, one of these 2 men you have to convict of rape, I have a feeling Ron Jeremy would be the one that would
Danny Masterson or the Hedgehog.
Then I saw this other story here. Well, let me see if I can pull that up. If I can find it.
Well, while you're looking that up, I'll give you our Disney update. July 3rd, Hamilton comes out on Disney Plus.
Yes.
Woohoo! I still want to see it then, because I still have Disney Plus.
Have you guys seen Hamilton? I haven't seen it. I've just heard about it.
No, I have not seen it.
I have not either.
Okay, and for the record, Jason just replied to me. He said that's okay to name it that.
Ooh. Now I already forgot what it was, but
no sex in the Munsters.
Oh, okay. I saw this story that I thought was funny. The movie Unsubscribe, the $0 budget movie that topped the U.S. box office. On June 10th, the box office topping movie was watched by just 2 people in one cinema. Unsubscribe, a 20-minute horror movie shot entirely on video conferencing app Zoom, generated $25,488 in ticket sales that day. The budget for the movie was $0. The makers of the movie took advantage of took advantage of a loophole in the cinema ticket sales known as four-walling, which is when distributors rent out a movie theater and buy all the seats. So the people renting the theater pay a flat fee and then sell the tickets or distribute the tickets and keep whatever profit they want. So they made a movie, bought the theater for the day, and were the only 2 people to actually watch the movie.
Interesting.
Any money makes off goes straight into their pockets. Yeah, when I know, I think about twice when I was at the theater, we did have occasion where that happened, where someone rented the theater pretty much to show their film, and then they got to keep any money sold because, they were paying that flat fee. So I do remember that happening, I think on 2 separate occasions when I worked.
Digital?
I'm sorry?
Was it on film or was it digital when
digital.
That happened?
It was digital when it happened. So, yeah, they gave us a disc to show it. So, he wrote the script in one day. The movie is about 5 YouTubers who join an online video call and find themselves haunted and hunted by a mysterious internet troll.
Haunted and hunted. Wow.
He enlisted the help of his friends to star in the movie. And to his surprise, he managed to sign up some known actors. The protagonist, the killer, was played by Charlie Tahan, best known as Wyatt Langmore in the Netflix series Ozark. Sweet. And co-star Michelle Kerr had been cast in a soon-to-be-released series on HBO. So, yeah, they made a movie for $0 and topped the U.S. box office. I think that's a pretty interesting story.
Yes.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. So wait a minute. So we could put this episode in a theater, and we could make it top 5, maybe.
Now that theaters are opening, I doubt it. It's pretty tough. We could try it.
So what you're saying is we need a second wave of COVID so we can get this into the movie theaters.
All right. Everybody, go out and cough on people. No, wait. That was a joke. Don't actually go out and cough on people. And then I saw this little, I suppose, news of the weird. In 1997, Jean Calment passed away at age 122. Lived a long, full life, and it caused an uproar when she died. Doctors and researchers were stunned to see how active she was and didn't suffer from any ailments that tend to come with old age. It was unbelievable that this woman lived to 122 years old. But now it's coming out that there might be a reason behind that. They're now thinking that it really wasn't her, but her daughter who took over her role and her name. Her daughter, Yvonne. But significant life about her, didn't quite up. Oh, God, that's a long story. I'm not reading all that shit. But anyway.
But it was interesting what you did read.
Yes. The person who was had the oldest living person record apparently cheated and wasn't really the oldest living person. Apparently, allegedly, I suppose that's the word. I can't.
From the way that you were telling the story, it sounded like you were saying that she didn't die of old age or anything like that, but she was hit by a bus when she was 122 or something like that.
I think she did die of old age, story. Just 30 years younger than she really was. But, hit by a bus. Well, since I didn't read the whole story, we'll say that's what happened.
Doug, what do you know about the petition that started to cancel the reopenings for the Disney parks? Apparently it was started by employees, from what I read.
I think some of the employees, yes, I think because of COVID, but not everybody's going back, and they're trying to get other people from different stores that aren't like for merchandise. They're going, they're trying to get them to get, not go to their area, but go somewhere else. And these people are afraid, okay, I'm going to lose my unemployment, and now I'm going to be over here where I may not get enough hours to cover my bills. I think a lot of it's that. They're not opening some of the hotels till October. So it's an odd time. I don't know. They just had their first day of trying to get, because you had to make reservations to get to the parks. That was yesterday, and their tech is horrible, and it was a big clusterfuck, and people are having 12-day vacations and can only get 3 days in the park. So I don't know. They said Universal's laying off a lot of people because not enough people are showing up. So as with like Major League Baseball owners, I think Disney's about to suck it up and just lose money for probably the rest of the year.
Yeah.
But sooner or later you have to open. We're trying to figure out, what's going to happen with schools.
Right.
They keep sending out surveys about, what do you want to do? Should we do it this way or that way? Is there a right or wrong answer? I don't know.
I know I have a couple of friends that are teachers at Cincinnati Public, and they had their citywide meeting yesterday, and they announced they have 6 different proposals on the table for how to open, and it's either different grades or on campus 2 days a week and remote 3 days a week, and it's crazy. Nobody knows, what's going on.
Yeah. If Disney were to open today and you got free tickets, would you go, Doug?
Possibly. They're not going to have it as filled as normal. And I've been there enough where I don't have to go on the attractions and be in line. So I can just walk around and have a good time. But I don't know. That would be.
Well, weren't all attractions scheduled too? You had to follow a schedule. You just couldn't go online.
Yeah, it's like online in line where you just come back at this time and get on the ride. Yeah. The thing is, you just see too many people acting stupid. the parks and the schools can do the best job they can, but you have to have people following rules too.
Yeah, I have no idea.
So
It'll be an interesting fall.
Yes.
I did hear that the English language needs to seriously reevaluate the phrase "avoid it like the plague," since apparently it's lost all meaning.
Yes.
Maybe they should change it to "it's inevitable like the plague."
Yeah. Well, I mean, we were down in Gatlinburg Memorial Day week, and I mean, you know, the strip of stores down there on the main parkway there, you know, you might have seen maybe a dozen or 2 dozen people wearing masks. Nobody else was, you know, and I know outside you're not, you know, now they say you don't have to, but, you know, when you're around a crowd of people like that, it was just amazing how, you know, people just didn't seem to care or worry.
Yeah, if I was taking a trip to Gatlinburg at this time, I think I'd be content to stay up in the mountains away from everybody.
Yeah.
That'd be the reason I would want to go. I don't need to to go into the strip and all those coughing, germ-infested.
Yeah, I mean that's what we got a chalet when we were there just for that reason. It's like, you know what, if we got to sit up here all week, that's fine.
Yeah. I just see if I could bribe somebody to grab me some taffy on the way out. Otherwise, I'm good.
Taffy. Yeah, that's what I took from that, taffy. I did see somebody tweet out, I don't know exactly how it was, but kind of after seeing this country where like half the people like refuse to wear masks, I think I have to apologize to the makers of every horror film where I said the protagonists are too stupid to live when they decide to go into the murder basement. How unrealistic that would be, or something like that. It's like, well, maybe.
I don't know. It's just so bizarre to me how, like, right now there are more, and I know it's because they're testing more, but you're seeing like daily 5,000 cases a day in some of these states, and it's like before it was like 1,000 and everybody was losing their mind, and now it's just like, all right, no big deal.
Just imagine though, 5 months ago, if somebody had said that some of the things that have been happening would have happened by this point, like saying 5 months ago, well, in June, the Wiggles are going to be trolling the president because they sold out a theater that he couldn't. No one would believe them. And sure enough, the Wiggles are trolling the president. And TikTok brings down the president, apparently.
Yeah.
See, he's too busy using Twitter to not realize that TikTok is what the youth is using these days.
He's just too dumb to figure out social media to know what's happening to him.
Yet he continues to use it.
I know. Well, in his just, before I get sent down the hall, in his Students for Trump speech today, he didn't know why it was called COVID-19.
Seriously?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I saw one of his people. Was it what's her name? I think it might have been Kellyanne.
Conway?
Yeah, I think it might have been her. Where this was months ago, but she made the comment about how I don't understand why people can't figure this out. We've had 18 other COVIDs to deal with before now.
Yeah.
I mean, down the hall.
Down the hall.
Hey, what are you guys doing September 11th through the 13th this year?
I plan on being at the Cincinnati Comic Expo.
I'll be at the Cincinnati Comic Expo. What about you, Brian?
I'm in. Until they say no, I'm in.
Yes.
Jeff, will you be there?
That sounds good to me.
All right. So, yeah, Cincinnati Comic Expo. Hobie will be there. We'll be on stage and doing some trivia and not coughing on people. So
if we have to wear a mask to it, what would be the best cosplay to do?
Mr. Redleg. Is that a?
It's a Mr. Redlegs Funko that I picked up for a giveaway.
Ooh, not for your own personal collection. You can get a Mr. Redleg. But apparently a Mr. Red's Funko Pop is potential prize to win at the Cincinnati Comic Expo, September 9th through the 11th. Am I getting those dates correct?
11th through the 13th.
11th through the 13th. That's
at the Duke Energy Convention Center.
Yes. And you know who's going to be there? Francois Chow, who played
he was on
Quick
Lost.
Kick in the Quick Kick in the G.I. Joe TV series and animated movie.
Ooh.
He was also in Lost. He played.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, he played one of the guys from the Dharma Initiative. Now I can't remember his character's name. But yes, that's where I first recognize him. Like when he shows up somewhere else,
yes.
I'm like, oh yeah, he's from Lost. That's where I know him from. But he does have a distinctive voice too. Where, yeah, Quick Kick. I didn't realize until you just said that, but that would be the same guy.
Yes.
And so, as we're saying, as of right now, it's still going on.
Yes.
Everyone else is dropping like flies, so there could be only one. The Cincinnati Comic Book. No, not
Cincinnati
Comic Book. Cincinnati
Expo.
Comic Expo. Oh man, I'm glad you guys are here to get me out.
Just
of
edit that out.
We'll take it out in editing. But the Cincinnati Comic Expo.
Edit that and that whole part about Jason out. We'll be good.
If you show up at the expo, Jason will give you hugs.
While social distancing.
Are they refunding tickets right now or?
It's
Yeah. No, wait. Only if you want hugs will Jason give them.
yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. No,
They're not
no.
required.
He won't forcibly just hug people.
But yeah. I don't know if you guys heard Jeff had a question about if we're wearing masks, what would be the best cosplay to have?
Bane?
Bane.
Oh yes,
That'd be
Bane. Yeah.
I was thinking the guys from Mortal Kombat,
Mm-hmm.
Scorpion or whatever his name is. I think it's Scorpion, and the Sub-Zero, those guys.
Snake Eyes. You gotta go Snake Eyes.
Well, that's a full mask. Can't see anything.
What about WCW wrestler Glacier? Didn't he have one of those?
Yeah, he looked just like Sub-Zero.
But yeah, I know.
I'll wear my Rey Mysterio mask.
There, luchador masks.
Yeah.
That'll work.
Even though the nose and mouth are uncovered.
Yeah, we'll cover. Yeah, the only parts of the mask.
Am I doing this right?
The parts that we're trying to obscure are the ones you will cover.
You get a face sucker from Alien to put on your face and around your neck.
I could just dress up, like, put on my flannel and go as Al Borland and wear, like, a sanding mask or something.
Yes.
Or you could be the neighbor and just have, like, a
Have a
fence.
fence. That's it. We're going for a whole home improvement vibe.
Great. I can just hear Jason doing the Tim the Toolman Taylor bark.
Pass. I suppose we can start reading box office news. I got the weekend.
Well, we already know what number one is. It's that two-person.
I think that was the previous week.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And I think they at first they weren't going to recognize it. They had to get confirmation that it was actually true. So I don't think our numbers last week reflected that either. So. Whoa! Brian.
Wow, is that our new box office theme song?
It is now. All right, number one at the box office in its opening week, Followed made $127,231. Yay!
That was number one at 127,000.
Yes, that was high. You should have heard some of them we've done the last couple of weeks, but since you don't listen to the show, you wouldn't know that.
Oh, I don't.
Number two, Infamous. In its, how many weeks is that? Second week, it has made $94,984. And in its third week, Becky made another $85,056.
Let's get that Oscar, Kevin.
Well, hopefully Kevin will get it. I'm so cheering for him to get an Oscar now just to piss Jason off. In number 4 this week, in its 8th week in release, The Wretched made another $73,145. That's a lot of money, relatively speaking, if that is actually 8 weeks of distribution.
What's the budget on these?
I don't have the budget information.
Okay.
But The Wretched was in 101 theaters. So that's a lot.
There was that many open.
And the next highest was 44, so. And number 5 in its opening week, Stardog and TurboCat. It made $31,305 in 6 theaters. So it had the highest per theater average of the week. So now I want to know what Stardog and TurboCat is. So I'm going to look that up.
It's an animated movie.
I assumed as much.
It would be better if it weren't an animated movie, though.
Did you have that, Doug, on what it is?
Launched into space in 1969, a loyal dog crash lands in a small town where pets are no longer welcome. Desperate and confused, he recruits the help of a tech-savvy cat to help him reunite with his beloved owner. Stars Luke Evans, Nick Frost, Bill Nighy.
So it's British.
Gemma Atherton. Or Archerton, my bad.
We'll forgive you this time.
The plot sounds exactly the same as Footloose. They don't like pets anymore. They don't like dancing anymore. Same thing.
Well, the last 3 days, I've been inundated with Footloose references, and like there had I don't know. I'm trying to remember why even something about the soundtrack or something came up, and then I was looking it up, and then I heard a song, and then I was doing an online trivia thing, and they asked a question about the Bonnie Tyler song "Holding Out for a Hero" from the Footloose soundtrack. And then today, as I was on YouTube, just doing some videos of, about music or whatnot, and then they started playing one about Kenny Loggins and Footloose and the writing behind Kenny Loggins writing Footloose. So, and now Jeff brings up Footloose again. I might have to rewatch the movie. But apparently not the remake. Apparently they did a remake.
No. Yes, they did. It was, don't ever do it.
I'm fine avoiding the remake. Anybody have anything else they want to say before we move on to top 5?
Go ahead.
I did see that Netflix picked up Cobra Kai.
Oh, I did want to say that.
For the 3rd season, since I guess the YouTube didn't. I didn't really see why YouTube didn't want to put it out, but I just saw yesterday William Zabka tweeted out that they were going to Netflix.
I think they said YouTube was getting rid of scripted series.
Scripted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they decided to get out of the game, but they still had actually one valuable property. So now I'll be able to watch it.
Very excited for that. I was very pleasantly surprised with how well that the first couple of seasons went. So.
Although we didn't hear when it's hitting Netflix, did we?
I want to say July.
Oh, that ain't too far.
Because it's done. I mean, it's been done for.
The first and second seasons will come out when the 3rd season drops. Or is that what they're probably doing?
Let's see. I'm trying to find it here.
So, Jeff, it looks like you made your girlfriend have sushi the other day.
I noticed she didn't eat any.
She refused to even try it.
Well, we have a game night every Monday, and then there's 4 players, and the winner gets the trophy, which they get to rub into everybody's face for the next week. And the second place gets to choose the music. 3rd place gets to choose the food. And Jen's kid got 3rd place, so he chose sushi. And the rule is you don't have to eat it, but you have to make yourself something here if you don't eat it. So she made herself something here, and we all had sushi. And she was very disgusted that she could still see the suckers on the octopus. And
she was going crazy on Facebook at that, and I was laughing. I even hit the laugh at her emoji.
So it looks here like the first and second season are going to drop later this year, and then the 3rd season will follow that.
Oh, okay, but they don't have specific dates.
They don't have dates yet. So.
All right. So Cobra Kai coming to Netflix. So all you people wanting to drop Netflix, now you got to hold on to it for Cobra Kai. Doug, anything before we move on?
Did you see Michael Keaton coming back to play Batman? Supposedly.
Yeah, has
Supposedly.
that been finalized or just
I don't know. They're talking like it is, but yeah, I don't think it's official yet. But it's supposed to be in the Flash movie, and they said he may be like the Nick Fury character for the DC universe and kind of mentor and get everybody together. Can't hurt them.
No, DC can use all the help they can get. So, yeah, he'll be in the DCEU and the MCU. Cool. Jeff, anything before we move on?
I'm sure there's plenty, but I can't think of anything right now.
All right. Well, somebody give me top 5 music since I can ask for it.
Top five.
Perfect.
Yeah.
This week, our top 5 is our top 5 favorite books that we were assigned to read in high school.
Was it high school? I thought
Oh,
it
I'm
was
sorry, school. It was just school, not high school. You're right. It could be college or grade school.
I went to school for English, so most of these are
right,
actually half of these are college.
Okay. Yeah, I did say school. That's what I meant. I considered putting some grade school books on mine, but I don't think I did.
This was tough. I'm 50. That was a long time ago.
Come on, five books, Doug. 5 books that you.
I had to go through the list of what. It's like, oh yeah, I remember reading that. Oh yeah, I remember that one.
Books that were commonly assigned at that time.
Of course, looking at the list now, hopefully not.
Margaret.
But some of them, like obviously, I was older than this, but the Hunger Games and Harry Potter, and it's like, why didn't they have to read like Shakespeare and the stuff we had to read?
Please tell me Hunger Games and Harry Potter are for like junior high or
I have no idea. It was just lists, books assigned for school reading, and the Hunger Games was one of them. It kind of surprised me.
I could see that for like a junior high, but yeah, we had to do Shakespeare and whatnots. I didn't enjoy reading Shakespeare. I didn't know what was going on. Oh, I'm getting that look from Jeff. What? How do you
have to really get into the flow before you understand Shakespeare, because any one line makes no sense. Mm-hmm. But if you start to understand how they're talking, then it starts to make sense. And
yeah, it made it difficult because my English teacher was originally from like India and had a thick accent.
Oh.
So trying to get any flow. Matter of fact, I remember there was I don't remember what book it was, but we had an oral test, and I just remember I missed one question just because I couldn't figure out what he was asking. Like,
was it a double? Was it for double points?
No, it was not.
Okay.
But that meant he was reading the questions aloud. We didn't have them written down, and he was like asking the name of a character, and I couldn't make out what he was saying. I'm like, when he gave the answers, I'm like, that isn't what he asked. Well, Doug, since you have the longest to go back, I'll let you go first.
Okay, I hobied this. Just because I'm not sure if they allow these books to be read anymore, and that would be Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn. I don't know if they allow them in schools anymore. I believe Huck Finn had a lot of N-words in it.
It did.
So I can't believe they're allowed still.
It is one that we read when I was 2 years behind you in school. So.
Being the youngest of the group, we read it in high school in the late 90s.
Really?
Yeah.
We had to read Mein Kampf in my high school.
Wow.
Wow, we weren't allowed.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. That was a joke.
I know your high school. I wouldn't put it past them. No.
I always love a good Nazi joke.
Brian, you want to go next?
I can, yeah.
Sure.
Number 5, I had The Tale of Two Cities.
Yeah, that is an honorable mention.
Yep, same here.
It was... I think when I was in high school, I had 2 different Dickens books to read, and I really liked A Tale of Two Cities, and I really despised Great Expectations.
Pretty much the same for me.
I wanted to...
I never read Tale of Two Cities. What's it about in general?
2 cities. It's a tale about...
I could quote the first probably 10 words. There was lots of times,
It was happened during the French Revolution, and the one guy was from London, so the 2 cities are London and Paris, and a whole bunch of stuff happened. Wow, I don't even remember it all. A lot
The
of
one
shit
guy took
happened.
the other guy's place.
Yeah, two guys looked very similar, and
Yeah.
the one guy decided to take his place on the chopping block and gave up his life so the other guy can live. Something
So
like
like
that.
that Eddie Murphy movie, the Coming to America, or
Coming
is
to
that
it? No, nothing like coming to
no
America.
Trading Places? Trading Places.
Oh.
No, not like
No.
Trading Places. I mean, I think it would be closer to like shit. Now I can't remember the Twain book where Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court. Didn't he end up looking like somebody else? So I don't even remember anymore.
Jeff, what's your number 5?
Scab?
Scab Jeff.
Are you there?
Can you hear me?
Now
Yes.
I can.
Okay. My number 5 is Fahrenheit 451.
That was an honorable mention for me.
I never did read that one.
Nope, me neither.
It wasn't assigned.
I watched the HBO show, or the HBO movie that they came out with, and it wasn't great. And I don't know if that's because I didn't know what good things were when I read Fahrenheit 451, but I seem to remember the book being better.
It probably was.
Although I'm sure Jason loved it because Michael B. Jordan was in it.
It's one of Jason's favorites.
Did you call Michael B. Jordan an it?
No, he called the show an It.
Oh,
I
okay.
said Jason probably loved it because Michael B. Jordan was in it.
And then Jeff said it's one of his favorites.
The movie.
I thought that. Okay.
Oh,
I
meant
Not the
talking-
movie It.
the movie is one of his favorites because
I
Michael B.
see.
Jordan is in the movie.
I see.
No, I did not call Michael B. Jordan an It. Putting bad words in my mouth. My turn. I am putting at my number 5, what was it? The Bad Seed.
Never did read that.
Nope.
I'm unfamiliar at all. I've never even heard of it. What is it?
It's about a mother has a daughter who pretty much is a psychopath, sociopath. I can never remember the difference. But like the daughter was going around doing bad things because she pretty much had no morals, and apparently, at least in the book or whatever, it was one of those things where they say something that might skip a generation, and she knew like her father or something was also a little psychotic, and so she's now I have this child who I love, but she's doing bad things. How do I deal with that and stuff like that? I think they made a film of it.
Never heard of it. Actually, never even heard of it.
Yeah.
It was a film. They did make it into a film.
Yeah, film.
It was released in 1956.
It was an older book. I don't know when. But I'll go to my number 4, and I think on this list, my number 4, I think I'm going to go The Catcher in the Rye.
That was my number 3.
Oh.
It was an
Never read
honorable
it.
mention for me.
It was one I was actually surprised that not only were we allowed to read, we were required to read it. And then I read it, and I'm like, okay, I like the book, but I don't understand why this is considered banned and whatnot. Just because there's a prostitute character. Come on. All right, Jeff, your number 4?
My number 4 is Frankenstein.
Never did read that one.
That was my number 4.
It's a good number 4. It's not like the old Universal movie. There's no villagers with pitchforks and torches, which is the quintessential scene of the Universal movie. But it's still very good.
Brian, number 4?
My number 4, I hobied. It's not one specific book, but in middle school, the R.L. Stine Goosebumps series of books. That was really like one of the first series of books I remember reading and like grabbed my interest to where I wanted to keep reading. So just that whole series of the Goosebump books were really, really good for me. So
okay. My number 4 is Frankenstein.
All right.
My number 3, this wasn't a sign, but I'm old, so probably the year after it came out, I remember being in 4th, maybe 5th grade, and me and another kid in class read the novelization of Star Wars. Now, the thing, it was a thick book. It was an adult-sized book, and that was something, we were going to do, and I made it through it. I don't think he ever did. But that wasn't a sign, but I remember in school reading in class, and I thought, checking out the library and reading that.
Did you write a book report on it?
I may have. That's a possibility. It was 4th or 5th grade. Who the hell knows?
Let's see. My number 4 was 3 was Catcher in the Rye.
My number 3 was The Picture of Dorian Gray.
Wow, I was not assigned that one either. A lot of books assigned that we never did.
Those were both high school. Frankenstein and Picture of Dorian Gray were both St. X. And Picture of Dorian Gray, it sounded like it would be an awful book, and I knew nothing about Oscar Wilde at the time, and it was a very, very interesting read. And now I understand all the references and all the old horror movie references or old horror book references where they mentioned Dorian Gray. Oh, I've read that book because I was assigned it in high school.
I know what they're talking about. My number 3, I'm going to go with I Am the Cheese.
Never heard of that.
Yeah, it was apparently written in 1977, which was pretty late, but I remember we read it in class. I don't want to necessarily give too much away because it's one of those where you don't know what's going on exactly. But
is Kevin Spacey the bad guy?
Yes. But you're following this kid, and he's on this journey, and something happened to his parents, and you're trying to figure all this out or whatnot, and then kind of it goes through the psyche of a kid who went through trauma, is kind of what it's about, and the title is like a reference to The Farmer in the Dell, where the cheese stands alone, and he is the cheese. But that was my number 3. And my number 2 is Animal Farm.
That was an honorable mention for me.
Mr. Georgie Orwell and saying you commies are bad. Yeah. But I'm going to give the pigs cool names like Snowball and Napoleon. But I really like the allegory there.
My number 2 was Slaughterhouse-5.
That was my number 2.
So we had the same number 4 and number 2.
Yes.
I really like that, and I can't remember, because I know in high school I read a lot of Vonnegut, but I don't think they were ever assigned. So I did read Slaughterhouse-5, but I couldn't remember if it was assigned or not. But I really
They actually had us watch the movie after we read the book.
Oh.
Really? I said we didn't do that.
I never saw the movie. I don't think I can figure out how they could make that into a good movie.
I didn't say they made it into a good movie. I said I watched the movie.
Well, I don't want to watch it if it's not a good movie. So.
It wasn't bad, but I wouldn't put it in my top 100 films of that year.
Let's see. My number 2 was All Quiet on the Western Front.
I didn't even know that was a book.
Really?
I assumed it was just a movie.
No, it was a book. It was a book I was supposed to read, but I don't think I did.
It was very good.
My number 2 was Slaughterhouse-5. My number 1, probably the most commercially successful book I had to read in school, The Stand.
Oh.
That's not what I was thinking, but
You were assigned The Stand. I kind of like that.
It was like a one of, you can pick between one of, 4 or 5 books. Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
My number 1 was The Outsiders.
Oh.
Again, I did read that one, but I think I did write a report on it, but I didn't put it on my list because it wasn't assigned. It was just one I chose to do. But
yeah, we were assigned to read it, and I've probably since read it 3 or 4 other times.
Yeah. I remember, I read it, right before the film came out. So that shows you how old I was reading it. I think that was 7th grade or something. And I'm like, yeah. Actually, I read it over the summer, and then when we had to write a book report, I said, I'm going to write mine on the book I read over the summer. So I didn't have to read a new one. Jeff, your number 1?
My number 1, this is actually my favorite book of all time, and it was assigned to me in college, Catch-22.
Again, another one I haven't read or wasn't assigned to read, but looks like one that I would like.
I would let you borrow my copy if you ever return the last one that you borrowed 20 years ago.
What was that, American Psycho?
American Psycho.
If I find it, I'll return it. And my number 1, I have To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah.
It was an
honorable mention. Yep.
All right.
I have Jen's top 5
that
I'm supposed to read.
Yes, let's hear it.
Number 5 was Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. So between us, we've had 3 of the 5 that matched Doug's.
Yeah.
Yes.
4 was The Odyssey.
Honorable mention for me.
3 To Kill a Mockingbird. 2 The Diary of Anne Frank, and 1 Lord of the Flies.
I forgot Lord of the Flies. I did enjoy that. Would make an honorable mention for me.
I had 1984. And
I had that as an honorable mention as well.
To Kill a Mockingbird, Fahrenheit 451, and I went way back to The Indian in the Cupboard.
Oh.
I've never read
I would
the
have
book.
put that on my list if I remembered that existed.
I never read the book,
That
but
was-
I saw the movie and I liked the movie.
Oh, I love the book. It like puts you in a different world. Such a great.
Yeah.
I had Heart of Darkness on my honorable mention. Great Gatsby, Grapes of Wrath, 1984, and Dracula.
I had Dracula also as an honorable mention, and Of Mice and Men. No honorable mentions from Doug, since he gave the 5 you remembered reading?
No, that was it. You guys mentioned a lot of them.
Okay. All right. Well, I suppose.
Do we have any listeners' top fives? Oh, no.
No, we didn't. We didn't throw that out to the listeners. They can tell us next week, so we'll have more to talk about next week. The fun part will be trying to figure out how to get this up on to the websites and whatnot. I'll probably be bothering Jason in the middle of the night. Something's not working. Fix it for me.
But we've decided the title already, right?
We did, I hope.
The only other title I had was Wrong Number.
My other one was Franklin Pierce. Can he run in 2020?
So, no sex in the Munsters? Is that what we're going with?
Yeah.
Or did you? Or do you want to go with Wrong Number? Or I can vote for anything, but
I'm good with the Munsters.
Yeah.
All right.
Because I want to see Jason's face when he actually sees that we did put it up. He said sure.
He said
He
sure.
said sure.
Or there's always just the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
Because we, was it about a month ago, we had the Badge Hog.
That's right. Good bookend them.
Now I kind of do want to go Hedgehog on this.
I mean,
Hedgehog and the Munsters.
Hedgehog and the Munsters.
Hedgehog and the Munsters. I'm sold on that.
Would you run into trouble for having the Munsters in there, though?
I don't know.
Yeah.
That'd
be my only thing.
Maybe I'm talking about the cheese.
Hedgehogs and Munster cheese.
Hedgehog and Munster cheese sandwich.
Oh, wow.
So many bad images.
Yes.
That's the point. All right. Well, if anybody... Oh, yeah, bad idea. We need a bad idea. Bad idea number 624. Doing this podcast without an outline.
Okay, what about bad idea number 533, answering a wrong number on the air?
Was it a bad idea?
If you would have put the person on, it would have been fantastic. Podcast gold.
Yeah.
But you just put it up to your ear and said, no, you have the wrong number.
I could have been Chuck.
Okay, that's the name of the show. I could have.
There you go.
I could have.
All right. Well, Roger says goodbye.
From Walking Dead to Talking Heads, from comic books to TV sets, there's a history of not so bad. There's the history. It's the history of bad, so bad.